Welcome, No Coach listeners. Episode 80. I'm just going to take a moment to pause and give myself a virtual pat on the back. 80 episodes, 80 days. It's been so fabulous. It's been challenging, but it's been fabulous. I'm your host, Suzanne Culberg. The topic of the day is when self-doubt clouds self-expression. I'm going to talk about this from a business perspective, like as an entrepreneur, but I'm sure there's many ways you could explore this topic with a love of exercise or sport, with a creative endeavor. But I'm going to go through the lens of entrepreneurship. So when I was a very early entrepreneur, I call myself the accidental entrepreneur. Part of the gift in that was that I had full self-expression. The way I fell into business at the time that I inadvertently started a business, I was working as a customer service officer in a government job, and I was on a personal weight loss journey. And to help keep myself accountable, I created a Facebook page to document my journey. And I wrote about the ups, the downs, much like how this podcast has come to be, except instead of recording like audio or video, it was written. And I did this for about a year. And I remember people asking me, hey, can you help me? And from that place, it was like, perhaps I could become a coach. I'd hired a couple of my own coaches. I loved the coaching industry. And I remember originally when I got into coaching, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's done this, I wanted to be a coach to help others. And I remember going to do this coach training with this lady called Kylie Ryan from My Mind Coach. Shout out to her. She's fabulous. And I said to her, I want to do this training. And I'm forever thankful to this day for her saying to me, I think you would be better off being coached, having your own transformation, and then after that, training as a coach, rather than getting into this for the reasons of helping others. At the time, I was pissed. I will be honest. At the time, I was like, It was so challenging for me to invest that money in me. It's always been easier for me to invest in others. So investing in a business was others. But that statement changed the trajectory of my life, and I'm forever thankful for that. Because what happened was I hired her and I worked with her and I worked through my weight stuff. And I saw firsthand the power of coaching. And I hired up a few other people too. And from there, so once I'd released 50 kilos, I ended up going on to release a further 28. But once I was, 2/3 of the way in, went back to Kylie, signed up to do her NLP coach training. And the rest, we could say the rest was history, but no, because I was still in the self-expression stage. So I wrote about the coach training, and I wrote about, you could go back. If you go to my Facebook page, Suzanne Culberg, the business page, not my personal one, and scroll back to the stuff in 2017, you could follow it all. Pure self-expression. So when people said, can I hire you? I had no idea about packages or pricing, or basically I had no boundaries at all, hence why my business has morphed into boundaries now, but I digress. But I did have self-expression and I loved it. And then I needed some structure. I needed some form, because although pure self-expression was fun, it wasn't scalable. So from there, I hired my first business coach. And what I noticed was how much I stifled my self-expression, how much I engaged in self-doubt, because I was trying to do the right thing, find the right words to engage people, to entice people, to, there was a disconnect. The self-expression, I remember I did this post the day I bought my size 10 jeans, and she sent me an email and she was like, nobody cares about that. Like, you're just making them feel bad about themselves. You need to write, from this thing. And I really took that to heart, and I didn't share my self-expression anymore. I just shared, do you want this? Are you this? And it became very transactional, and I lost the relational aspect of my business. And then from there, I second guessed everything. Like, am I saying the right thing? Am I posting the right thing? It's even like posting at the right times of day, looking at the trends, when I got the most engagement, how many likes did I get? Oh, don't post that on the back of this, when to run the time. Like, I went through this whole dark tunnel of self-doubt and hampering my self-expression to do all the things that I was supposed to do. And it sucked the joy out of my business. And I learned a lot. And then, although I was making a lot more money, I just felt this disconnect. I didn't enjoy it anymore. And then it reached a point where I was like, I left my corporate job. I left my, government job to work for myself for flexibility, because I had young children, and for freedom. Yet I chained myself up to trying to get the right words to get people to engage and give them, what do they say? Tell them what they want to hear, give them what they need. I don't know. I don't even go down those pathways anymore. But I totally was mired in self-doubt for everything. So what I want you to take from this episode, and the turning point for me, was really embracing once more that self-expression and trusting that the people who are meant to hear my message will find it, will understand it, will engage with it. And the people who don't, won't, or they'll soon figure out it's not for them and they'll move on. I realize, if you come to any of my trainings now, when I teach live trainings, when I do coaching, I don't do slides. I don't make workbooks very often. There is a rare exception. I like to teach just me to the camera, much like I do these podcasts. If you watch on YouTube, many of my clients say it's like I'm talking to them on, FaceTime or something like that. That's what lights me up, following the flow. And sometimes my thoughts scatter and I meander, and I start with one topic and I end with another. And when I'm mired in self-doubt, then I'm panicking. I don't make sense. I've lost the through line. People don't understand me. And I'm sure there are plenty of people who don't understand me. And if that's the case, I don't understand why they continue to watch. If you're like, I don't get this woman. Like, I used to get lots of emails when I transitioned back to self-expression about, you said you were going to talk about 3 points and you only mentioned 2, or your spelling's wrong, or this or that. I don't get a lot of that anymore, though I know sometimes I do start at one place and end up somewhere else. But I just trust that. I remember one of my coaches, Serena Hicks, once saying that she speaks parcel tongue and her people understand her. And I'm like, yeah, I speak parcel tongue. Those of you who are also not muggles, you get me. And other people are like, I don't know what she's on about. But that's okay. They're not my people. So I really encourage you, what have you been holding yourself back from due to self-doubt? It could be a business thing like mine. It could be a movement thing. You could be like, I really enjoy yoga. I really enjoy walking, but I need to do CrossFit because I need to feel the burn. But you hate feeling the burn, so then you don't exercise at all. And then you're wrapped up in this self-doubt and you're on a couch potato eating chips. And it's like, what if you followed your self-expression? What if you wanted to create art and you were taught a certain way and a certain process and a certain thing, and you don't enjoy that? You just like glitter and sequins and making a giant friggin' mess. What would happen if you just did that? Because the more we follow our inspiration and what lights us up and our self-expression, the more permission we give for others to do the same. So thank you so much for listening to this. If you're not yet on my newsletter list, this is another thing, self-doubt, self-expression. I was reading something on the internet just yesterday, and it was like, nobody will sign up for your newsletter list without a freebie. Like, you need to give them something quality for free. I call bullshit on that. I don't have no freaking freebie, like sign up and I'll give you a checklist that you'll never read or a PDF that you'll never open. If you like my podcast, you'll love my emails. So head over to suzanneculberg.com, click on the newsletter, drop your email address in there, get on my list, let's chat. When you first sign up, you'll get an email and I'll ask you 2 questions. One, how'd you hear about me? So you could say the podcast, or if you were introduced to me from someone, let me know who they are, because referrals are my greatest compliment. I love to thank people who recommend me. And the second one is, what do you want to know more of? And when you answer that question, you're not going to get some skeezy thing from me trying to sell you something. Like, I hate that shit. But if there's a podcast I've done already, I can recommend that resource, or your ideas. Those emails often give me ideas for future episodes. So I'd love to see you, or I'd love for, how do you word that? Love to be in your inbox. Sounds kind of weird. You'll get it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.